President Trump back in the U.S. after what he calls a, quote, amazing meeting with President Xi of China. Now, the focus in Washington right now, look at that gorgeous day in Washington, D.C., beautiful fall day, one day before Halloween. In fact, the president and the first lady are going to be doing a Halloween party this evening, and I agree with John Roberts. I don't know how he does it. Get off a plane from China and head right to a public event. But anyway, we just watched a lot on this 30-day shutdown at the White House near the West Wing, and we are days away from this becoming the longest shutdown ever. And we just heard from the vice president calling on Democrats to reopen the government. Nearly a dozen votes have already happened that they have voted down, which would have reopened the government. There was a roundtable discussion inside on the impact of the shutdown on air travel. So you had a lot of representatives of different entities that are involved in that, including the unions and the airline companies. Here is Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, in remarks that, interestingly, while this was all happening, right, and they're talking about this big debate going on between the left and the right, CNN and MSNBC didn't even carry these comments, important comments at the White House right now, so people could evaluate what they think about what's going on. Watch this.
A lot of our people can go through the miss of one paycheck, and it's hard for them, but a lot of them can get through it. None of them can get through two paychecks. And so, again, if Democrats don't get their act together very quickly, you're going to see huge problems. And again, I would come to them with a clean heart and say, open up the government, and then let's have a conversation.
So meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Senate Majority Leader John Thune surprising a lot of people in some ways, pretty forceful. He's a more mild-mannered individual generally, but he was very fired up yesterday and very effective by the estimates. A lot of people watching this, lashing out about Democrats blocking the bills over and over and over again to get the government reopened. Watch this.
SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money.
All right, with that, we bring in House Speaker Mike Johnson. Speaker, very good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us today. It was interesting to me, honestly, as someone who works in this business, that the other networks did not even take the comments that we just heard from the airline executives and from the Vice President of the United States. You might think during this that is something that you would want to take. They talk a lot about leverage on the other side and how they're using the leverage of this moment that they believe they have. And Speaker, I know you've heard this, but let's play call for number 2 to remind folks.
When you reopen the government and we lose our leverage.
Shutdowns are terrible. Families that are going to suffer. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
Frankly, this is our only moment of leverage.
Speaker Johnson, welcome, first of all. Good to have you here, as always, sir. What's going on?
Well, what's going on is that they are prolonging the pain and the hardship of the American people, and they're doing it for their own political purposes. They are admitting the quiet part out loud that they're using the American people as leverage. Why? Martha, this is so important. They're trying to show that they're willing to stage a fight against President Trump and Republicans in Congress so that they can make a showing to the far left base of their party. They are worried, as many Americans are, about the rise of Marxism in their party. Chuck Schumer is an old school progressive Democrat, but he's not nearly as far left as Mamdani, who's taking over the city of New York as the mayor very soon, we fear. And he and Hakeem Jeffries are both New Yorkers. They are the top Democrats in both chambers, and they're using this game. Right now, it's a game to them to try to show that they're strong to the far left. And it's hurting real American people, and that's why Leader John Thune and I are so frustrated. We're angered by this. They're not even covering, to your point. The mainstream media is on the side of the Democrats. They're not even covering the hardship that is being felt by people when the Vice President of the United States stands out with some of the top union leaders in America, and those two sides have joined forces to say reopen the government, and the media refuses to cover it. It shows you exactly what's going on here.
This is an exchange, though, with Jake Tapper and Democratic Representative Melanie Stansbury, and he pressed her on this. Watch this.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children. This is a choice by the White House.
This is also,
choosing
Congresswoman,
to
this
cut
is
off
also a
food
choice
assistance.
by Senate Democrats
No,
to not
it is
vote to
not.
open the government. Yes, it is.
It's interesting. Over on CNN as well, they showed yesterday that the GOP seems to be benefiting in public opinion from this, that you guys have articulated the stakes better, perhaps. I think that's why you're seeing these numbers change. What do you think the timing is going to look like? And do you believe we're getting towards the end here, Speaker?
Well, I sure hope so. The reason that our numbers are rising is because we are articulating the simple truth. What that Democrat representative said there is absolutely absurd. And even CNN has to say, wait a minute, that's not right. They are the ones that have voted now between the House and the Senate 14 times to close the government and impose all this pain on the American people. It's the Republicans who have voted over and over to keep the government open. I think there is a break coming. I think the dynamic will change. I certainly hope so. We pray that's true. That the Democrats will be able to continue to feel the pressure from the American people, from all these voices, even in the moderate and center left, like the unions, who are saying, please do the right thing. Stop playing games. You're hurting real Americans. And break that impasse. We're appealing to whatever moderate and centrist Democrats are left in the Senate to do the right thing, put the politics aside, do the right thing for the people so we can get about our work here again and get the government open.
You know, this question of shedding jobs, Joe Scarborough talking about that this morning and saying, you know, what Russ Vought is doing is a, big political mistake. Watch this.
Going into this, Republicans were sure, the White House was sure, that Donald Trump would have the advantage and would tell Russell Vought, wipe out the government. Go ahead, Russ. Cut, because it will all come back on you. It will all come back on Republican members of the House. The mindset has changed here, and it's not favoring Republicans.
You know, we looked at the numbers here. Tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Speaker, but I think it's about 4,200 jobs that have been cut out of 2.3 million government jobs. So this idea that there have been these mass job cuts simply does not pan out from the numbers. Obviously, it's meaningful for these 4,200 people. But what do you say about this argument that there have been these massive cuts?
It's a lie, as everything that they're arguing right now is. It's easy to point out. The numbers are the numbers. It is the contrary. It is true. The White House has done everything possible to mitigate the harm, to reduce the harm that's being felt by the American people. They have creatively found funding sources, for example, to pay the troops so far, to make sure they're not enduring that hardship, to make sure that the fund that supports women, infants, and children nutrition programs is funded. They have bent over backwards time after time to reduce the pain. Any administration in a government shutdown has a figurative control panel with dials of pain. While the Obama administration, for example, turned it to 10, Trump has kept it to 0 or 1. He's trying to do everything he can, as we are, to prevent damage to the people, and the Democrats are the ones voting over and over to impose that pain, and that is a fact that no one can refute.
I know you got to go, but do you think the timing on this, do you think that it will happen right after the election next Tuesday, likely? What do you think?
I certainly hope so, because it gets very real. The end of this month, all those SNAP benefits dry up. You've got all these other programs that people are desperately relying upon. We're praying that there's a break, that some Democrats over there come to their senses and do the right thing.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker
Thank you.
Johnson, good to see you as always, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.